How many of you guys are on birth control right now?
Hell no.
Not
Not
me.
touching
Nope.
that.
Absolutely
Nope.
not.
You're not on hormonal birth control?
No.
Wow. No one at this table is on hormonal birth control? Really?
I swear it's why I
It's-
feel like I'm so chill.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay,
There-
so you tried it before, and then what happened?
Yes. God, it just makes you emotional.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I think that there's a definitive line between girls that take birth control and girls that don't.
Travis, can you read that real quick?
I sure can. Ladies and gentlemen, did you know you can super chat this stream and these ladies might actually read your comment? Who knew? So this super chat is from Pat Stedman's Polished Passport.
Thank you, Pat.
Have the ladies noticed any difference of guys they're into when they're off birth control versus on birth control?
Great question. Did you notice any difference?
Yes. And I actually, from being to the doctor, they say that's a thing that happens. You can actually be more attracted to a male that you're with while you're on birth control. And then the second you go off of it, your hormones change and you're no longer attracted to him.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, we just had a podcast about that.
Yeah.
Last week, it came out a couple of days ago. So basically, the idea is this, and I want to ask you the rest of you this question, because what will happen is basically the way it works is when women right before the week before they ovulate, they're more attracted to men that have more masculine features. There have been several studies that have been replicated that show this. That
It's
women
called ovulatory shift.
Yeah, so there's an ovulatory shift that happens, and women are more attracted. They tend to wear red colors, and they tend to be more attracted to men that are
Hoop earrings.
Yeah, and they tend to be more attracted to men who have like symmetrical fucking masculine features. And what happens is when you're on birth control, this doesn't happen anymore, and you end up with this is not my words, but somebody else's words. These women will end up marrying men who are much more beta, much more feminine looking than what they're normally attracted to. Then when they try to have kids, they get off the birth control and they look at over their fucking weak chinned husband, and they're like, "What the fuck is this?" And then divorces happen. Then massive amount of divorces.
I understand that though, because when you're on birth control, you're way more emotional. I feel like your mental equilibrium's a little bit off. So you're going to need a man that is more beta, that's going to listen to your shit and put up with you crying and put up with you being emotional. Whereas when you're off of it, you're more stable. So you can have a more masculine man that's going to put you in your place when you're acting out. He's going to be like, cut that shit out. So I totally agree with that.
I
be with an alpha.
I had to get off of it because every time my period would come, it was like super emotional for no reason, and I would have like really bad fights with my boyfriends, and
Did you notice
and
that you were
also low
attracted?
libido.
Did you notice attraction that was different when you were on it, or attraction to different types of men when you were on it or off it?
No, I don't think
See, that's
so.
that's a common thing. So here's the thing. I don't know if you and I have ever had this conversation before, but one of the things when we're talking about like ovulatory shift, really what it is it's throughout a woman's menstrual cycle. There's the first 14 days, and then there's the last up to 28 days, right? So it's a 28-day cycle. So between day 1 and day 7, I know he's going to, here we go. Between day 1 and day 7 is when you get really bitchy, and that's the premenstrual syndrome comes through there, okay? So, but from like 7 to 14, that's when you're ovulating, and that's when it's time to go do a girls' night, or go, hey, let's go to Vegas, and what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, right? And so then the egg drops, and then you go into what's called the luteal phase, and that's the phase in which like women tend to be more attracted to more feminized features. They're looking for comfort and rapport. You go get your girls around you, and that's when you call your beta boyfriend and say, "Oh, he's so fucked up. I can't believe my help man. You know, I fucked him last week. Whatever." That's when you get the guys who are like sort of like a beta orbiter, so give you that comfort and everything. And then right towards the end of that cycle, right around 20, like about the 28 days point right there, that's when you go into being real bitchy, and you push away all the betas and all the orbiters, and you go back into the cycle once again. And by the way, I didn't know if you were aware of this, but it also emulates pregnancy, and you're the only one that I know at this table who's been pregnant. So you've heard of did you go through a nesting phase when you were like when you were pregnant? Did you like want to like stay at home and eat mac and cheese and be comfortable and like sort of in that nesting phase?
And be home, yeah.
So what happens is right after when you go into the luteal phase, it goes there's a kind of like a smaller a lower scaled nesting phase. So if the body thinks, or female body thinks that it's pregnant, then it goes into like, oh, I better get all my girls around me because I might be pregnant, and so therefore I'm going to need support, and I'm going to need the village to kind of help me out here. And then then the body realizes that it isn't, and then it goes back into the cycle once again. You go and start looking for guys who are more alpha, and that's where the idea is that hormonal birth control pushes that down. Now, some people will say, well, there's been some studies where what you guys experienced was I was with a guy who was very beta. I went off of hormonal birth control, and I'm like, what am I? It's like waking up from some stupor, like, oh my gosh, what am I doing with this guy? But Dr. Marty Hazelton, as far as I've been able to find out in her book Hormonal, it doesn't necessarily like eliminate that want for the alpha. It just compresses all of that, like the luteinizing hormone and progesterone and everything. So it's not so much like it eliminates the alpha fucks side of that. It depresses it and so when you go off of it, it all spikes up again once, like going off of, say, like TRT or something. Yeah. All your hormones come back up again.
Yeah. Very nice. Did you notice before or after on birth control, do you notice any difference in who you were attracted to?
I mean, no, not really, but I definitely did notice I would be more of a psycho when I was like
when you were on it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, isn't it only like 6 days out of the month that a woman can actually get pregnant?
Yeah.
So I mean, that was another reason that I went off it. I was like, it's just not worth the emotional like turmoil and all that. So
right.
Yeah. How about you? Did you notice any difference on and off birth control?
I was on birth control for like 7 years straight. And so I didn't even realize the difference until I tried taking a few months break. Usually whenever I was in a relationship, that's when I get on birth control because then I'm consistently having sex.
Thank you, Brian.
And then... Sorry, what was I talking
about? No, your changes when you're on or off birth control.
Yeah, no, I realized being off of it how much crazier I felt trying to get back on it, and I took a break and decided to not go back.
Yeah, copper IUD for the win. Yeah, they wrote that in the chat. I thought that was funny.
And I don't like things stuck inside me that freaks me out. So it's just.
So how
do you ever have sex? Oh, my bad. Forget it. I'm sorry.
You want me to answer?
No.
What was crazy when I was on birth control, because I was on it since I was like 16 or something, I noticed by my 20s, I even got to a point where I didn't even want sex. My libido was so down. Like, I didn't want it at all. I didn't care for it.
You're in the adult industry and you didn't want
this is before the adult industry, and I noticed something, and so I just consciously am, a little bit into like homeopathic remedies, and I was like, I'm just going off. I tried every method, the pill, the ring, the fucking whatever, the copper, the IUD. I did everything, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go away with it. And after I got off it, my libido was through the roof, and I guess I stumbled in the adult industry.